I went to Juilliard and I learned how to project to the back row.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Wait,
I'm
no,
just an idiot.
What the fuck? I think if somebody touches your hair or your like pregnant stomach or any part of you, you get to put your fingers in their mouth. Like you just turn and go like right in their fucking mouth. How do they like it?
Welcome back to Zombie Banana Spiders. I'm here with Dr. Heather.
Hello.
And Colin. And today we are paying tribute to mothers. Hooray!
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ma. So let's get into it. Heather, do you have any history for us?
I have some history for you. And it's cool, like it always is. So celebrations of motherhood go back basically to the beginning of humans, because women were mothers, they were the creators of life, so...
They still are.
They
I'd
still...
like to point that out.
Yes, that is an excellent point.
Yeah.
But because of that, there have been celebrations of motherhood basically since the beginning of time, probably prior to the beginning of time. But we can also trace back to ancient Greece and ancient Rome, because of course we can. So if you remember Cybele, the goddess who fell in love with her grandson, she is also part of, or one of the mother goddesses who was worshipped in Rome. And then starting in the Middle Ages, there were Christian festivals, one in particular called Mothering Sunday, but that was more with like your mother church. It wasn't your particular mother, but they connected it to biblical passages that used motherhood as a metaphor. So like using the church as a metaphor for mother or motherhood. But in the US, the meat of Mother's Day really started, or the meat of the history of Mother's Day started with a woman named Anne Reeves Jarvis. In 1858, she started Mother's Day work clubs in West Virginia. And her whole deal was to have mothers unite to serve their community. So they did education workshops. After the Civil War, her Mother's Day work clubs worked to reconcile soldiers from the North and the South. So the whole idea was mothers getting together and using, by their powers combined, they would do good work in the world. Related to that, I don't know if these two women ever worked together, but sort of related to that idea, you have Julia Ward Howe, who wrote a Mother's Day proclamation calling on mothers to unite to promote world peace. So this whole idea was all about mothers working towards a common goal. Then we have Anna Jarvis, who was Anne Reeves's daughter. She changed the focus from mothers uniting to fight for good to honoring one's own mother. So sort of the focus of Mother's Day as we have it now came from this woman changing the focus of Mother's Day. So she organized the first official Mother's Day celebration in May 1908 in Grafton, West Virginia. And she fought and lobbied and wrote and rallied to get Mother's Day declared a national holiday, because she said that all other American holidays were all around men's accomplishments. So Mother's Day was supposed to be for women.
Sure.
So West Virginia, because all of this started in West Virginia, even her mother, Anne Reeves, her work started in West Virginia. So West Virginia recognized Mother's Day in 1912. Pennsylvania recognized Mother's Day in 1913. And then in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson officially declared the second Sunday of May to be Mother's Day. And I looked it up. That first Mother's Day was May 9th, like it is this year. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Ooh.
So that was in 1914. Mm-hmm. By 1920, Anna Jarvis hated the commercialization of Mother's Day. She denounced it. She started an open campaign against Mother's Day profiteers. She sued people who used the name Mother's Day. She disowned the holiday, and she lobbied the government to have it removed from the calendar.
Wow.
And this... Go ahead.
Talk about Frankenstein's monster, like destroying what you've created. Jeez.
And this consumed the rest of her life. I found a couple of quotes that I wanted to share. One of them is from Memorializing Motherhood, Anna Jarvis and the Struggle for Control of Mother's Day. That's a book. And this quote is from the blurb of the book. But the author says, Jarvis claimed both intellectual and legal ownership of Mother's Day. Her obsession with protecting the purity of her vision sustained a war of verbal and legal assaults against rival holiday promoters, patriotic women's organizations, charitable foundations, public health reformers, and the Franklin Delano Roosevelt administration. And then from another quote from Time magazine, the author said, fighting with other people for full credit for starting Mother's Day was a key factor in Jarvis eventually ending up broke, blind, and in a sanitarium.
God damn. So wait. When we go out to celebrate our moms this year, it's only because this poor woman failed to destroy what she created and ended up blind, broken in a sanitarium.
Yep.
I think we should all keep that in our hearts this year. Holy cow. That's great. What a great uplifting history of Mother's Day.
Right?
Oh my God.
On that uplifting note,
love you, Mom.
Why are moms such a critical part of fiction? Colin, do you have any thoughts on this?
Nope. Off to you.
Well, actually, I was thinking about this morning. I wrote an essay in undergrad, my literature class, about why I mean, maybe it's just me, but I find, especially in cartoons, like in Disney movies, when the villain is a female, she's scarier than when the villain is a male. And they might have done that on purpose, because a lot of the male villains have a humor to them that the female villains don't necessarily.
Yeah.
Like some of them do, but I'm thinking of like the evil queen in Snow White and the evil stepmother in Sleeping Beauty and Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty and the stepmother in Cinderella. They all and I mean, they're all step parents or like fairy godmother-ish type, not actual relation to. But I always found them much scarier than like Rasputin or Scar or Gaston or any of the male villains.
Yeah.
That being said, when I saw the live action of Beauty and the Beast, Gaston became a whole different person as a real guy, and he was scary because I knew people that were like him. So, but thoughts?
I agree with you, and even thinking like that element of humor made me think of Mad Madam Mim.
Oh yeah, she was actually kind of scary
She
too, though.
was terrifying. She was, and she
Yeah.
was funny. She was goofy, but she
Yeah.
scared the shit out of me when
Yeah.
we were little.
Yeah.
Which one's Mad Madam Mim?
It's from
Sword in the Stone.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I don't know if it was her voice. I don't know if it was how she was drawn. I don't know what it was.
It was how she was drawn, and then she turned into a pig with like gross pot marks or something on it.
Yeah, and then
That
she
was
like
gross.
pushed her nose in, like yeah. So no, I am with you on that, because I was even villains, like Disney villains, that male Disney villains that I would say are a bit more scary, like Clayton from Tarzan. I mean, that movie was, we were older when that movie came out. I don't remember exactly when that movie came out, but he still scared me. And he wasn't, he didn't have like the humor that other male villains did, but he still had moments where the protagonists like got one up on him. You know, like he thought he was all badass, and then Jane would say something that kind of put him in his place. I don't think you'd ever have that kind of thing with a female villain. Like, no female villain is ever put in her place. She's just evil and then dead.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, I love Madame Medusa's sponge.
But God, she's terrifying.
Nah, she's my favorite. I was never scared of her.
She's my favorite. She scared me like Mad Madam Mim scared me. Like, I don't know if it was the style of drawing. I don't know what it was. When she took her eyelashes off,
Yeah, that was pretty gross.
Scared me to death. She kind of does get put in her place sometimes.
You know, I think the reason for that might be, you know, it's probably very complicated, but for two reasons that I can think of is that, and it's all because of gender inequality, sadly, but it's like women in fiction are often like they're considered the other. Like, male is default, female is the special thing. And they're like, oh, so we're working from off the back foot anyway. We have to really sell this as a viable threat because, you know, women, they're just easy to defeat. So they don't give them the humor. They make them that very focused, very evil to sell them as a threat. And then it's like, it definitely surpasses any kind of dude because they're like, guy villain, he can be a bumbling fuckstick and get put in his place all the time, but he's still threatening because he's a dude. And then, you know, so the women ones are just more terrifying that way.
Maybe. What I was thinking when I wrote the paper, one of the things that I thought of was like, mothers especially, and these women are supposed to, a lot of them are supposed to represent mothers, are supposed to be safety and loving, and these were the opposite of that. They were so it's like something that you would rely on as being comforting and safe and loving is the opposite. So that might be one of the reasons why they're so scary.
That was exactly what I was going to say was my second point. Like, it plays with your expectations.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have a loving, nurturing mom, the way women are always presented in media and fiction and stuff is more often than not that way. So it's like, oh shit. You know, well, thousands of years ago, pretty good odds that your mother has died of some horrible thing. So I bet you there were a lot of families without mothers, or moms died in childbirth, and the kids do have step parents or whatever. And it's like, oh, you know, let's turn around. What, you know, oh, my dad remarried and this woman's great. What would be more terrifying to me is if she was evil. This evil person was interjected into my life.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So I could see it.
It was just occurring to me that, like, with the rise of same-sex parents, like, yes,
Yeah,
you have a
true.
child who was birthed by a woman, yes, but
Yeah.
they might then have two dads.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I am an old lady, and I don't watch, like, more modern television. And
Mhm.
so I don't know, like, how the portrayal of families on modern television is changing. And I think
Mm.
that would be interesting to see as we move through history, if
Yeah.
the same kinds of things stay the same, or if with the rise of same-sex parents, we see if that's going to change how stories are told. That's kind of what I was thinking of.
I definitely I agree with that. I think it will, but it might not be as drastic or as rapid a thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see.
And you know, another thing that we might
And another thing.
another thing, and maybe that's just in my own circle, but it's becoming a lot more prevalent to be like, hey, quit asking me when I'm gonna have kids. You know, like that kind of thing. Before, I feel like it was just, you kind of had to take it because the societal expectation was, well, you're a woman,
Bullshit.
and yes,
Yeah.
you know, you're a woman, you're married, so you're going to have children. Like, when is that going to happen? Chop chop. And I think more now it's like, Jesus, it's none of your business. Like,
Yeah, that's like old people ask that kind of question, you know.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, what a bunch of I feel so bad being a dude because like you girls have to put up with some fucking shit. You know, it's dumb.
Our parents are great.
Mm-hmm.
They
That's
don't.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at some U.S. Census data. I was just curious about like how many women eventually become moms, and it's just in the U.S. at least it's just over like 52%. So that's a quarter of the population at some point becomes a mom. Like when you have numbers that big, that's of course there's going to be fiction about it and talking about it and discussions about it and stuff like that. So what I love about moms and like horror fiction specifically is that you can take the concept of it and you can really twist it around in some interesting and fun ways and really tell some interesting stories about it rather than just a straightforward narrative.
I think it's true. And like, we were talking before about the growth of like same-sex parents. So even if you have two dads, it's still possible that you have, like you were saying, Colin, you might have some kind of maternal figure in your life, or if you don't, because of how our culture is and the fixation on mothers, it's likely to have affected people in, again, for good or bad.
Yeah.
So it's so much of a cultural thing, this that of course is reflected in movies and television shows and music and books and pretty much every form of media. So
Yeah. Real quick, talking about the different medias that moms appear in, if you just think like quintessential like biker tattoo in your brain, what's the first thing that comes? It's a heart with mom written on it, maybe with a knife stuck through it. It's like it's just such a big component to existence, you know.
Yeah, I think that it's something that almost everyone can relate to, and that's why it's used so much.
Yep.
And now that more light is being brought to families that are not a mother and a father, there'll be probably more stories about families that are different.
Agreed. And I'm looking forward to that too. Like anytime, media starts to change and alter, like I think that'd be great, just get something different in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, mothers in yes, horror and mothers. So, there was a couple of movies that are called Mother's Day that I was like, oh, perfect, because that's perfect. And then I watched the original one,
the 1981, right?
Yeah, and I was like, oh no. And then I started I watched the remake with Rebecca De Mornay, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I watched that one because I think that one was free, and I'm glad that I watched that one first because oh no. I do like Rebecca De Mornay though.
Yes.
But no. And then I started watching the original one, and I was like, this is, too similar to be fine. So I have no interest in going into any kind of detail about those movies. If you like, you guys can look it up and read the descriptions, and if you like those movies, then go for it, man. But I've seen even better representations of those types of movies. So honestly, it wouldn't be a disservice to your life to miss those two movies, in my opinion.
I would agree with you. The best thing about Mother's Day 1980 is the poster, which is all kind of wacky, it's this horror movie painting poster, like a VHS cover from the 80s. But you can stop there. You're not missing anything. But yeah, it's I think they were just, again, we've talked about this before, looking for some kind of cash in for a holiday, like Friday the 13th or Black Christmas or Thanksgiving. They were just nobody's done a Mother's Day movie. Neither of these movies are about Mother's Day, the holiday, at all. That's just the title.
Yeah. So let's skip over that and start talking about the different representations of mothers in specifically horror, but not exclusively. Oh, there's an article that I found that we will include in the description below about how mothers are represented in specifically horror movies, but we're going to expound on that. But it was very interesting. So if you'd like to read it, we'll have it in the description. So should we start with evil ass moms?
Yeah, that sounds good. So we kind of talked before the show and kind of made a list of just some famous moms in fiction, like Hilary said, not limited to horror, but mostly horror and sci-fi and stuff that we just kind of want to touch on. And we kind of have them into 4 categories. And that first one here is, of course, evil ass moms. These are moms who are like monsters or killers, or they're no good. You don't want this as your mom. Also, both mothers from the Mother's Day movies fit onto this list, so we'll just throw that in there first. But real quick question: do you guys like seeing evil moms in fiction, like in a movie or a book? Is that something that's like evil mom cool, or is that something that you shy away from?
I like mothers that love their family. That's what I like watching. So I enjoyed not necessarily House of a Thousand Corpses, but Devil's Rejects, the family dynamic, even though the family was so messed up and all of, I like Mama Firefly, and I like they have a horrible obsession of like and but they do it as a family, and I think that's adorable.
That's beautiful.
So I was trying to think of family, like mothers like that, and the ones that I'm more drawn to as a good story, or more that I was interested in talking about, was something like A Quiet Place, where the mom was like pretty badass, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. That's definitely a good point. So I mean, we kind of made this list. I guess we'll just talk about these moms, and you guys can tell me if you have any thoughts of them. The first one I wanted to bring up here was the movie Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, from 1992, Peter Jackson flick. In this one, Vera Cosgrave, she's this terrible old woman. She killed her husband for the money. She's smothering her adult son Lionel to this like intense degree, just like cartoonishly loathsome. And she eventually becomes this giant zombie that's like 50 feet tall. And on the roof, she's like, "Get back in my room," and rips her stomach open so Lionel can slide in. Intense. And then he manages to like rip his way out of her. Great flick, but man, what an evil mom, but very entertaining. Have you guys seen this?
I've seen it a couple times, and actually I'm on the hunt for a copy of it on DVD, but
Sweet.
I haven't watched it in several years. The only scene that my favorite scene, and the one that I remember and stands out to me, was the one where he takes the baby zombie to the park and it bites his hand, and he's like slamming it against all of the equipment to try and get the baby off of him.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Brain Dead. It's so good. We've got, of course, The Brood, a David Cronenberg flick. If you guys haven't seen this, Nola Carveth is this, like, she has got problems, but she eventually grows this, like, psychically controlled external womb that can breed these, like, dwarf children that have no teeth or belly buttons, and she uses them to kill all the people that, like, wronged her and try to, like, steal her 5-year-old back from her ex-husband. It's a Dave Cronenberg flick. Enough said. Good times. We've got, let's see here. We've got Serial Mom, John Waters. I gotta go to John Waters. She is a cookie cutter mom who kills people in the neighborhood when they slight her, like stepping on our azaleas. You know, real quick, we got like Friday the 13th, Pam Voorhees. You know, we got Hellraiser. Julia Cotton is the evil stepmom. Have you guys seen Inside, a new French extreme, where a lady tries to use giant scissors to cut an unborn baby out of a lady's womb? That's a good one. That's a good evil mom right there. Let's see. Gotta say the Queen Alien from Aliens. Great mom right there, but she's evil. She's evil. Heather, it looks like you have a couple here on the list.
Yeah. So I had Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Who is a badass mother from outer space. And I wasn't sure how much that like counted, but if you go to like the original ending, ending, then I think it counts. And then the It from It, because the spider is technically female, and when the and when the
it laid eggs,
that was the whole thing. When the Losers Club go back as adults and they chase it into the sewer, Ben's job that's when they discover that that it is in fact female and has been laying eggs, and Ben's job is to go around and stomp on every, like, I was imagining when I read this book, I was imagining eggs the size of the alien eggs. And then, like, little, like, face hugger spiders in the eggs. So Ben has to go in and stomp on all of them to try, and he thinks he got all of them. So yeah.
I forgot. I didn't realize that. That's awesome. So Tim Curry gets on our mom list. I love it.
Absolutely. That being said, also, and I mean, maybe these moms would fit in another category, but the mothers in was it Derry? Where were they in it?
Mm-hmm. In Derry.
Yeah, in Derry were affected by it, and like it sort of warped them. Like, and they talk about this in different film theories and stuff about how, you know, they're neglected. The Eddie has a mother who has Munchausen or whatever.
Yeah.
And like all these things where the parents are kind of absent from the kids' lives, and so they're able to do whatever they want, but it's also like the adults are not helping them, and so you could say that all of the mothers in it really in Derry are
That's
not
true.
good.
Not good.
And
good.
I saw that film theory, and it actually kind of bothered me, because that is true of the movies. That is true of the parents in the movies. In the books, for some reason, Richie is always the exception that proves the rule. Like, he has two parents. They are very loving. They are very present in his life. Eventually, like, when like, kind of at the climax, when it really starts, you know, impressing its will on the town, like, all of the adults are just gone. Like, like, the kids even talk about, like, if we got hit by a car and we're lying, like, bleeding in the street, no adults would come help us. They're just gone. But
wasn't Ben's mom pretty cool too in the book?
She was pretty cool, but she was a single mom and she had to work all the time. So,
and they lived with like an aunt who hated him or something.
Not in the book, at least not at first. I think not in Derry. I think they did. That might have been in the like the 80s miniseries or whenever the miniseries was. And it also might have been after they moved out of Derry. I can't remember. But at first, when he first just makes friends with everybody and everything happens in the story, it's just the two of them on their own. And he talks about, like, how she's a really good mom, but she has to work all the time. She's kind of beat down by life. And so he's just on his own just because of that. So...
Sure.
But yeah, I think I would say definitely from the movie Hill that sort of all of the moms, because of the influence of it, they have some kind of not great relationship with their kids.
Yeah,
I can see that. I'd like to bring up Shub-Niggurath from the H.P. Lovecraft mythos cycle. You know, I can't get enough of that. The Black Goat of the Woods with 1,000 Young. In a lot of the other authors and role-playing game stuff, it's often Shub-Niggurath has like mother's milk and is creating all kind of weird birthing creatures and stuff like that. So that's a good evil mom. And then Hilary, you want to talk about Coraline, right?
Yeah, Coraline is the whole story is actually about mothers, and I never really thought about it, but it's like the mother is the most important. Like, there is the other father, but the mother is like the main focus and the sort of the main catalyst of her being ignored and things of that. The dad was ignoring her too, but it was the mom that like seemed to be the boss of the family. So she's not necessarily evil, she's just a little neglectful. And then the other mother, is I don't know, like the he says this is a children's story, but I is it I guess in terms of like fairy tales and stuff, but this creature that pretends to be the mother figure of these children steals their eyes and in turn like takes their souls, and that elongates her life, I think.
I,
I
I think that qualifies her for the evil mother's list. Eyeball
Yeah.
stealing will get you up there.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a lot of fun. The book, I read the book. Have you read the book, Heather?
I think I've read parts of it.
I
But
have
I
a
definitely,
hard time with his books.
yeah, yeah.
I think his books translate better into movies than I just have a hard time getting into them. Except
Sure.
for American Gods, but it was too depressing and I didn't want to continue.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, other mother. All right, so should we continue on to BA moms, or do we have any more evil ass moms that we need to mention?
I'm sure there are plenty out there. So if you guys have any you want to talk about out there in viewership land, drop us a line in the comments or send us an email.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to badass moms, heroes, and such.
When I was kind of thinking about this, I'm like, there's the evil moms, and then there's the moms like the quote unquote traditional, like loving, nurturing moms, and they just amplified it by a billion, like the moms that will go through hell and back for their kids. And you see this a lot in fiction, and I dig it. Heather, you got a whole bunch from Stephen King that I think you wanted to chat about, huh?
Yeah, because when we were talking about moms, I started going through my Stephen King collection, and so these are from the books. I know that I know at least two. Well, no, I was going to talk about that. So at least 3 on this list were made into movies, but I'm going strictly from the books. So I had Donna Trenton from Cujo, Sandra Stansfield from The Breathing Method, Dolores Claiborne from Dolores Claiborne, Darcy Anderson from A Good Marriage, and Wendy from The Shining.
Sure.
I think all of these fit into the badass moms category, because they're basically just regular women who are put in very extraordinary circumstances, and their whole focus, basically, depending on how long their situation is. Some of them last for days, some of them months, some of them it's very, very short, but their whole focus is protecting their children. Some of the moms make it through, some don't. Some of the children make it through, some don't. And I mean, in Dolores Claiborne, I think that one for me is probably the most tragic, because everything, and I think that's kind of even the catchphrase, either of the book or the movie, or maybe both, is that everything she did, she literally did it for love, to save her daughter, basically, like to save her other 2 children as well, but it was her daughter that was being abused, and all it cost her was her relationship with her daughter. So it's, for me, that's the most tragic. But I think all of those Stephen King moms belong on this list. I was thinking about it too, because a lot of these are from earlier in King's oeuvre. I mean, the Good Marriage was what was it from? I will insert here what book it was from, but it was more recently published, probably within the last 10 years or so. But Stephen King's own mother was a single mom. She raised him and his brother, by herself. She worked a crap ton of jobs, like, just to keep the family going. She basically went through hell. And so it kind of makes sense that a lot of his moms have that kind of trait. Like, that's the mom, that's the category that the moms that he writes about, or the moms that he writes, fall into. Two other ones that I wanted to mention that are not from Stephen King are Fantine from Les Miserables and Helen Rossi from The Historian. Les Miserables, arguably not horror, although a lot of the topics that it deals with, I mean, Fantine's fall from grace, pretty horrifying. But I thought those two were interesting because in both of those novels, you get to know the characters before they're moms. And then they become the dead mother. Like, they kind of become the trope of the dead mom, you know? And so Cosette in Les Mis, and I don't remember the character's name in The Historian, but they don't really remember either of their moms, but their characters are defined by their mothers in certain ways. And I just thought it was interesting in those two particular novels that the reader, you know, we get to learn, we get to know these characters, who they are as people, before their mothers. So they're not defined by their motherhood. They only become defined by their motherhood after they die.
Okay.
So it was just kind of interesting in that both of those novels sort of shared that.
I like it. That is very interesting. And it's a good point too. It's kind of interesting to see them, like you said, that way as women, and then, you know, how they, you know, as dead mothers, how do their kids relate to it? So, and there is a lot of dead mothers in fiction too, as we've discovered. Like, that is a big thing, especially in Disney movies of all places. Very strange. But some other badass moms we have listed here. We got, of course, Ellen Ripley from the Aliens universe. We have Sarah Connor from The Terminator, of course. I put down Amelia from The Babadook. Have you guys seen this one?
I have not.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, as she starts out as kind of this not a bad mom, but in a very neglectful place, as she's dealing with massive amounts of grief and depression and everything else, and just like can't take care of herself or her kid. And then kind of through this story really has to step up to deal with the emotions as well as the threat of the Babadook. So it's a good one. Highly recommended. And then I have here last is she's not really a mother yet, but Rosemary Woodhouse from Rosemary's Baby, who goes through all of this stuff to, you know, have a kid, not really knowing exactly what's coming down the road. And I just think that's a very interesting look at motherhood, the pre-motherhood state, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and also, that was based off a book.
Yeah, by Ira Levin.
I've never read it, and I haven't seen it in a while. But from what I remember of the ending, spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen it, it came out in
1968.
Didn't she have the she had the baby, she had the opportunity to leave, and she decided to stay, and so it's like being motherhood at all costs, because you don't know what is gonna happen.
Even though it is the devil's child and it's like pure evil, that's still her kid, man, and she's gotta be there. So I'd love to see a sequel that's set like 3 years later, when like the devil is just like breathing fire on shit, and she's just like, oh Christ, I need like an Advil and a nap. Like, just give me space, kid. Fun times.
Yeah. I haven't seen the movie. I read the book, and it's been a while. But I think that the ending of the book was actually my favorite part, where it's like she asserts herself, because like you've got this. See the movie, it's probably great. Read the book, it's kind of hysterical, because there's this cult of really old people that are trying to bring about the birth of the Antichrist, and they're like, I don't know that any of them, like the women, I don't know if any of the cult were like ever mothers themselves. Like I don't know if they were ever parents, and so they're like trying to take care of the baby devil, and like at the end of the book, I think it's kind of the same thing, where Rosemary asserts herself, and it's like, this is my son. You know, it's like, yeah, he's the devil's kid, but he's also part of me. And I just really liked that. I thought that was cool.
Cool. Shall we move on to creepy ass moms?
Sounds
sure.
Good.
Creepy ass moms are just, they're not evil. They're not good. But they are weird. They are kind of like nutty or strange or bizarre in some way.
Damaging.
Damaging would be
to
good.
their
Yeah,
kid.
yeah. These are all pretty damaging in some way. So again, Heather, I know you have a couple on here that you wanna chat about.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you can't have a list of creepy ass moms without talking about Margaret White, who is Carrie's mom from Carrie. She had some issues, and unfortunately that really warped her relationship with her daughter. Deborah Ann Hartsfield, who is the mom from Mr. Mercedes. That's a more recent Stephen King book. It's part of a trilogy. This one is the first one. But she also issues that affects her son. Again, not really pushing the question of what's evil. I would say in this situation, she might sort of span the two lists. And then I was just thinking about this today, the Madeline, the mom from The Phantom, which is a book that I believe I recommended however long ago. But it's another telling of the Phantom of the Opera that starts with his mother. And it's another one where you kind of get to know who she is before she gets pregnant, and then you get to see her relationship with Eric. And she's not a good person. You can kind of understand without sympathizing with her, because she's a spoiled brat who doesn't know how to deal with anything. And then her relationship with Eric is very twisted.
Well, she's ashamed, right? Because he's deformed.
Yeah, she's very ashamed of him. She also doesn't know how to help him, because she knows how smart he is. Like before he can walk, he's like talking at like 2 weeks. And like he's making toys and making all of these contraptions like before he's 2. Like, he's brilliant. And she doesn't know how to help him. She tries to get like teachers to come in and various masters in different arts to come in and teach him, because he's completely wild. He doesn't know what to do with himself because he doesn't have anything to challenge him. And she tries, but because he's so horribly disfigured, none of the teachers will be like, we'll come here. He can't enter the school. You know, it would be too dangerous for him. So nobody is willing to be strong for him and to fight for him, her least of all. She tries, but she just fails. And so she probably also spans like another list we were talking about, like tragic mothers too. She probably would go on that list as well. But there's a part in the book where Eric basically hypnotizes her, but she has sort of like very physical reactions to the sound of his voice, and like very sexual reactions to the sound of his voice. So for that reason, I put her on the creepy ass moms list.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Absolutely.
Nothing ever happens. She gets told. She gets told off by a priest. But it is in there. So. And then I had the last one for me on this list was the mom from the Binding of Isaac video game. I don't know how many people are familiar with that at all, but it's basically a very, very loosely connected to the story of Isaac in the Bible. He's the one that God tells his dad. I don't remember what the dad's name was.
Abraham, I think. Right?
Okay.
No.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is it Abraham? God tells Abraham he has to sacrifice his son, and so he goes to do it, and then the angel comes to stop him. Like, I was always very confused by this. What was the point of this Bible story? But in The Binding of Isaac, the video game, it's the mom who is very zealously religious. She thinks that Isaac is this little kid. She thinks that Isaac has to be spared from and protected from the evils of the world. And so it's a really gross, visceral game where Isaac is going through all these different levels, one of which is the womb. He has to go back to the womb and fight his way out of the womb. And his weapons are his tears. So, like, he's literally crying to save himself. So it's really popular. New, as of the recording of this episode, I think it's just DLC. DLC has just come out for this game, so a lot of people are playing it. But you learn more lore in this DLC. But the mom from this video game is definitely creepy.
Yeah, sounds like it. So going into the womb, shooting tears. So what you're saying is this is not allegorical in any way.
No, not in any way. No, nothing. Yeah.
All what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
To round out this list of creepy ass moms, I got Norma Bates from Psycho, who, technically isn't alive. Again, spoiler alert for a 61-year-old movie. But, you hear her voice in her son's head, kind of Friday the 13th like. We got Joan Crawford from Mommy Dearest. Good Lord. If you guys have not seen this movie, it's a cult classic, but it's actually terrifying about the abuse that Joan Crawford, put on her adopted daughter. And it's kind of, from what I understand, it's debated whether or not there's any truth in it or not or whatever. So I kind of put that there. I wanted to keep like real life terrible things off of here, but the movie may be fictitious. We don't know, but either way, nuts. And then the creepy ass mom from Mommy Dearest. Good Night Mommy. Have you guys seen this one? It's an Austrian flick from 2014 where they live in this bizarre, like ultra modern house. The mother comes home after having facial reconstructive surgery, so she's all bandaged up, and the twin boys think that she's not real, or not really their mother. Creepy.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I never watched it. But it's an interesting idea how they can't prove. Like, they don't think that it's their mom, but they can't prove it, and nobody listens to little kids anyway, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. It is a bizarre movie. I'd say it's a little bit closer to like an art film. Like, it's very slow paced and deliberate, and stuff like that. But yeah, the mom in the scenes you see of her, it's just creepy. Like she's kind of like floats around the house and it's just very bizarre. So that's a fun, creepy ass mom you got in there.
Well, and I think it's interesting, and maybe everybody has made this connection, but Psycho is the opposite of Friday the 13th, right?
Yeah. You're right about that.
Double feature. All right, other ass moms.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure where to put these moms, and like, you know, you guys can weigh in, and anybody watching out there, you know, feel free to weigh in. I think in certain respects they could fit on other lists, but I wasn't sure. So I had Fran from The Stand. It's another situation where we get to know her more before she's a mother. I mean, like, she's pregnant throughout the entire book, and then she has the spoilers, she has the baby at the end, so we get to know her more as a person than being defined by being a mother, but at the same time she does know that she's pregnant throughout the entirety of the book. And I think I haven't seen the new, has the new Stand movie miniseries, whatever it is, has it come out yet? Okay. I haven't seen the new one. Her character was very different in the book than it was in the miniseries. I would actually put her more in the badass moms list, her character from the book, because there's this scene in the book where her dad dies. She has a really close relationship with her dad. Oh yeah, she's got a weird relationship with her mother. Like, oh, I just remembered that. But Fran has a really close relationship with her dad, and when he dies, she sort of sews him up in a burial shroud. She wants to bury him in his garden, and she's all alone. It's just her. And so she hefts him like onto her shoulders and carries the dead weight of her father downstairs from his
who died of plague,
died of plague, yeah, down, and buries him in the garden. And I'm like, I feel like for that scene alone, badass mom. But at first I wasn't quite sure, didn't know where to put her, so I kind of put her on this general list. Another one is Susanna Dean, who is the main female character from the Dark Tower series. We don't meet her until the second book. And hers is a complicated motherhood, because in the shortest nutshell I can make it, first book, Roland has sex with a female demon. Female demon saves his seed. Third book, Susanna has sex with a male demon who was the female demon. He impregnates her with Roland's seed. So she has this twisted demon baby that's also Roland's baby. She never has any signs of pregnancy. I don't think her period ever stops. Like, they make a point to say like the baby is rejecting the mother's blood, like the nurturing of the mother's blood. But then she at one point, and I can't remember which book it's in, but they have this huge battle, they triumph, and then afterwards she goes off to give birth to this like demon baby thing. So in certain circumstances I would put her on the badass moms list, because she goes through all of that and she survives, not only physically but mentally. But it's odd. It's and then the last one that I thought of for this list was Mrs. Frankenstein. So Victor Frankenstein's mother. That she does have a relationship with her children. I don't know how much in the book, I don't know how much that relationship affects her children. Like, I remember in the Kenneth Branagh movie, her death, like, she dies giving birth to his younger brother, and that just deeply affects him, and that's where his impetus to create life comes from, because he says, if I could have, done this, my mother wouldn't have had to die. We wouldn't have had to lose her. But that's from the movie. I don't think that's really from the book. So those were just some other ones I was thinking of.
Some random moms. Good stuff.
To summarize, moms in horror movies are terrifying, even when they're badass.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And there are lots of them out there. So good stuff. So this Mother's Day, grab your mom and a bucket of popcorn and watch some crazy ass mom movie.
Watch any horror movie, there's probably a mom in it.
Probably true, except for The Thing from 1982. I just doesn't have any women in it.
But isn't there like a
trivia?
Okay, so what I've done here is I have made a list of 10 Guess These Mom questions. And we're going to throw them up here on the screen right now while Heather and Hilary fill this out. So you guys at home can be playing along. Pause the video if you want, figure out, your answers, and we'll see if we got them right. So... Okay, and we're back. You guys filled this out. Let's just go down through them and see what we got right. So our first question, this mom is married to a guy named Guy, and her baby has his father's eyes.
Rosemary.
What do we got?
Rosemary.
Rosemary Woodhouse is correct, from Rosemary's Baby.
I was going to guess that. I had no idea.
That's okay. Point, Heather. That's all right. Heather, give that one a check mark on your notepad.
Okay.
So we know we can count the score. This mom is a boy's best friend.
Every mother.
Psycho mom. Mom from Psycho.
I gotta give it to Heather, but Hilary, I love where your heart's at on that one. That's really sweet. But yeah, it's Norma Bates.
I just have to ask, is her name really Norma?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever knew what her, and I read the book and I've seen the movie, and I just didn't realize that her name was Norma.
Her son is Norman.
Yeah.
Okay. Fun stuff. She's a little bit of a smother.
Just a little.
Just a bit. All right. This mom is not a fan of wire coat hangers.
Any pregnant lady. I was like, where are you going?
Ooh. That's not where I was going with this.
That's what I was thinking. Sybil's mom?
This is Joan Crawford from Mommy Dearest. She has that famous scene. She's like, wire coat hangers, and then whips the girl with the wire coat hangers. It's like the famous scene in the movie. That's okay. Moving along. This mom took a swim with some allegedly real corpses in her swimming pool. Now, I did a little extra research. Poltergeist is right. They were not alleged corpses. That's come out as being true. During the filming of the movie, when she was in the pool with the corpses, she thought they were like rubber, but the film production crew found they could buy real corpses cheaper from a medical supply company and dump these skeletons in the pool and made her swim with them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, good times. Point Hilary for that. Good one. This mom is a real doll, though she doesn't start that way.
That one I don't know.
I thought that one was Psycho.
Okay, this is a little obtuse. This was Tiffany Valentine from Bride of and then Seed of Chucky, where she's his girlfriend. She's real, and he turns her into a doll. And at the end of the movie, after they have doll sex, she gives doll birth to a baby doll.
Gross.
Yeah.
Good fun stuff. This mom's son wasn't a very good swimmer.
Friday the 13th.
Jason's mom.
Boom. Pam Voorhees. Yep. My Jason, he wasn't a very good swimmer. That was a terrible impression. This mom has a fateful encounter with a Sumatran rat monkey.
Dead alive.
Yep. Boom. Hilary. You got it.
Now I must see
Sumatran
this
rat monkey. Oh, yeah. Bites her. She turns into that big zombie with the open womb. Good times.
Yeah.
Where were we at here? This mom would like you to get away from her, you bitch.
Ripley.
Ripley. Yep. Gotta love it. This mom is a mean green mother from outer space.
Audrey too.
You guys got it. Good job. And last but not least, this mom knows that they're all gonna laugh at you. Technically, she was correct.
Carrie?
That's it. You got it.
Okay.
Margaret White. They're all going to laugh at you. And it keeps repeating ad nauseum. And they do laugh at Carrie. And then she kills them all. It's great. Cathartic. Yep. Good job, you guys. That was fun to make. And you guys did excellent. So congratulations. Let us know how you guys did at home in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
I got 6 of them right.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 right.
Hilary takes the crown. Oh my gosh.
Alrighty. And on that note, Heather, do we have any recommendations for today?
Yes, I do. And we're changing things up a little bit. We're going to do, instead of all 3 of us having a recommendation in each episode, we're going to have we're going to take turns and one of us will recommend something per episode. So for our Mother's Day episode, I would like to recommend the book Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page. This is a series. I've only read the first one, but
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. I like it a lot. And it actually really changes the way, like, going back and reading more of the original Oz books, it really changes the way I see those books now. Because Danielle did her homework. But I really like this book. It's awesome, and it sort of fits our theme because the main character, Amy, has an interesting relationship with her mother. It's been a while since I've read this book, and the mother doesn't play a huge character, or she doesn't play a huge role in it. Like I say, I've only read this one, so I don't know if the mom comes back in any of the subsequent books. But basically, sort of what we learn over the course of the book is that Amy used to have like a really good relationship with her mom, but then her mom was in an accident, something happened, and she became addicted to pain medication, and that changed her. She became very neglectful, she became very resentful, and was actually kind of cruel to Amy. And so that's sort of where we start in the book, and then Amy goes off to Oz. She has all of these adventures, and at one point, months later, she comes back and is looking for her mom. And in the interim, the mom doesn't know what happened. She left, she and Amy had a fight, the mom left. When the mom came back, Amy was gone. And so in the interim, the mom has cleaned up her act. She's gotten her life together. She's getting help for her addiction. And Amy overhears her talking to someone, basically saying, all it took was losing my daughter for me to get my life on track. And so Amy's really sad. The mom is really sad. But at that point, Amy says, you know what? Mom's got her life. I've got this stuff that I have to take care of. I have these responsibilities in Oz. We're just going to go our separate ways. And that's kind of where it ends. There's no reconciliation. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, I'd not seen that type of relationship sort of play out in other movies or other books that I've read. So I just thought that was interesting, and honestly a very small part of this book. It's so good. I know it's been out for a while now. I can't wait to read the other ones. So that is my recommendation.
That is awesome. And you're right. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That the best relationship you can have is not to have one with your mom. That's awesome. Very cool.
Wonderful. Well, are there any closing thoughts about mothers that we would like to impart to our wonderful public?
Thanks for putting up with me, Mom.
Yeah. Ditto. Love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
Thanks for joining us. We're banana zombie spiders, and we hate them. And drop us a line. I am Horalius _art on Instagram and Horalius art on YouTube. How about you, Colin?
I am Colin Richards Art on Instagram and the Facebooks, and Markers and Monsters at YouTube.
Heather?
I am nothing. No one.
Fair enough.
If you would like to contact Heather, don't.
No, you can drop me a line at ZombieBananaSpiders@gmail.com.
Bingo, bango.
Fantastic. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.